Aline Dany was almost 30, but her figure, assisted by a corset, was still good. Perhaps it was the state of her clothes that did not appeal to him. The dress was wet. To compensate, she smoothed the chiffon draped over her thigh, but in a manner no respectable lady would entertain doing. Aline looked at him with head tilted back. She summoned all her coquette powers. With hands on broad hips, she gave him a confident smile. A brief glance from him prompted Aline to break the silence. "You are not very old, are you, monsieur?" Somewhere in the shade of the officer's cap, two eyes turned to her. He gave a shallow, ironic laugh. "I am old enough. You'd be shocked by what I've experienced." Aline sighed, doubting his word. Many of the soldiers she had entertained had told her of the grim realities of the Western Front. Most of them were wept in her arms like children. She expected this man to be the same. Time was money, and Aline's patience was ebbing. The last slivers of daylight had gone, unseen by either of them. The gold of street lamps dominated, softening the harsh buildings and the war-weary people. At least it had stopped raining. Still, he made no move to buy her services. Aline turned her gaze to the street. "I suppose I should be on my way. I need to earn money. The children, they have to eat." Her face became inadvertently harsh, and Aline frowned with failure. She waited a breathless moment as the British soldier altered his position and faced her. He prepared to have yet another cigarette. "You smoke a great deal, monsieur." "As I said, my doctor advised me to." With the cigarette between his lips, Daniel struck a match. In the light in his cupped hand, Aline, for the first time, clearly saw the whole of his face. The eyes she noted were most striking, penetrating but with a telling softness. The colour was uncertain in the flickering flames. Aline thought him handsome. He had a narrow face, prominent cheekbones and dark hair, most evident in his straight eyebrows. He could pass for a Frenchman. The only flaw Aline could see was a smudge of darkness beneath the eyes and a lack of sleep. The match's glare was snuffed, and again he leaned back into the darkness against the door jamb. It was all too evident that she was not getting anywhere with this man. Aline pulled the lace shawl up tightly over her shoulders. Her breasts became as the moon, glinting between clouds of warm, pale chiffon. "I think I should be going," still she hoped. Aline glared at him, detecting from him a sigh akin to relief. A plume of blue-grey smoke hung between them. With a keen look, she observed his weary stance against the door. Aline recalled his eyes. She knew their kind. Her own brother was also. "I could have taught you pleasures your wife could never guess at. But I can see something about you she cannot. I know how you are. How do the British say it? I wonder. You are a man's man, no? You prefer to sleep with other men?" Daniel stood bolt upright and took a step back deep into the shadows. Tension enveloped Daniel, as at that very moment 2 Australian sergeants were passing close by. They stopped, having heard their voices. "You all right, miss? Is he bothering you?" Her reassurance was ignored as the second sergeant grimaced, cursing at what they had heard. "Didn't you hear her? She's found a bloody pufter. Lousy pufters." Taking a step forward, the Australian sergeant was held back by the other. "Wait, look, he's a bloody officer, a pommy officer too." "Fuck. Makes sense, all pommies are puffs. The pufter is a pommy. I'll beat the hell out of him." Aline's protest that she was fine was ignored. She tried to prevent her soldier from leaving, but he slipped from under her hand. "Monsieur, please wait," she blurted in French. "You see, I understand. If you like, I can help you meet someone special. My brother is a soldier too." Daniel was shaking now. Quickly avoiding the 2 sergeants, he pulled his cap low and stepped out of cover. He moved quickly down the street, keeping to the shadows. "Oh, never mind him," said the sergeant, holding his powerful and giving chase. "Let's see what she can do for us both." Cursing and muttering under his breath, the scowling sergeant turned to smile at the woman in the doorway. It was some minutes before Daniel slowed his pace. He looked back at the quiet, deserted pavement and breathed easier. That had been too close, thought Daniel. He was not prepared to fight those men. He did not want to fight anyone. Again, seeking isolation, he found another secluded doorway. His intention was to have a slow, undisturbed smoke. Grateful for the dimly lit street, his fingers fumbled with the woodbine. He drew deeply on the warm, calming aroma. Daniel closed his eyes, allowing it to wash through him. It was the touch of something against his leg that caused him to look down. A black, emaciated cat, weaving between his boots, meowed pitifully. Green eyes yearned for attention. Daniel knelt, offering his knuckled hand. The cat vigorously nuzzled each finger. "Hello there, you're a pal, aren't you?" With a roll on his back, the cat offered its chin, which was duly scratched. "Well, pal, looks like it's just you and me tonight." The sudden sounds of humans approaching caused the green eyes to flash. The cat spun and shot away. Out of the gloom, a threesome of British soldiers stumbled in a mockery of marching. The men sang in stilted unison at the top of their voices. Slurring the lyrics and swaying with each other, they strayed within a few feet of him. Daniel smirked as one of them, decidedly soused corporal, turned and pointed at him with a shocked finger. "Struth, an officer! Liven up, lads! Evening, sir!" In a moment of controlled fear, they tried to support each other as they made their 3 clumsy attempts at saluting. "Evening. Carry on, corporal." Daniel returned a casual, sober salute. Giving his best smile, Daniel eyed the slim corporal, trying to keep his balance. Slipping on the wet pavement, the youngster fell so that both his legs were momentarily in the air, displaying the bulk of his groin to Daniel. Laughing at his own misfortune, the swimming eyes of the soldier watered in mirth as his friend tried to pull him up. He grabbed him by the belt, but together they lost their balance and slid into a puddle. The corporal fell on top of his pal. Groaning at the weight of the young corporal on him, the other soldier held tightly onto his pal's shoulder. The singing started again. The smirking Daniel was giving a display of the corporal's arching back, the khaki pulled up tight, outlining his well-rounded rear. Stepping aside as they rolled past him, Daniel left-handed the third soldier trying to untangle his mates. Their gaiety prompted Daniel to abandon the desire for seclusion. A drink and a few ordinary cheery faces were what he needed. Such friends would surely raise his spirits.